There are arrows that say upward, and they all point in different directions. Glary Music reached out to me and said, do you want to review a piano? And I said, of course, that's almost exactly what I do. Okay, so I'm suspecting that the arrows that said upward actually should have been on the bottom, and that the arrows that said upward on the bottom should have been on the top. So they asked me to do an unboxing and review, and thus far I'm reviewing the box, and I have concerns. Oh, that's not lightweight. Are there instructions? Okay, that's assembly hardware and power adapter. I know a power adapter when I see one. This was a Ziploc reclosable bag that I ripped the bottom out of. I'm guessing the best way to assemble this is going to be ground up. This goes here. We know these sides are the ground because they have the little rubber bits on them. I have shorts on underneath this dress. These are going to be pretty easy, I say confidently, having no idea what I'm doing. No one saw that. You are not helping right now because these instructions... Oh. This goes... I see. Here, are you even... These screws are not the size of these holes. Am I saying glary right? I just need to get this on this. Cool. We're gonna pull this forward. And then I'm going to climb behind it. Oops. But here we have the $350 ships free piano. But I want to see the keys. Cool double. Oh! Oh, I thought these had a really cool texture on them. It's tape. I mean, there's nothing uncool about tape, but like, I thought they had like a really over-the-top fake ivory marbling. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Ooh, not bad. I'm so used to mini keys that my pinky's like, oh, I gotta stretch. All right, it's time for the actual manual. Welcome to the digital piano. Combines GM tone, artistic digital circuits, and functions to make you enjoy great music pleasure. It's like guitar with a pad in the background. I love that. We successfully assembled the Glary, what number are you? Piano GDP-107. So I've got this in the color walnut. We get like a full, proper clamshell lid. Basically every tone you could imagine. It's got, what they show on the back of the piano on the website is not completely accurate. If I was me 10 minutes ago, where would I put my laptop? So if you plug basically any MIDI thing into any other MIDI thing, they should be able to communicate on some level. So yeah, if you don't love the sounds on it, you can always plug in more. I have 2% battery on this, so we're not going to do that right now. My day one analysis of this is the build quality is really good. I am not super duper sold on the sounds. Okay, I need to clarify one more thing just to make sure that everybody's on the same page here. This piano is less than $350 and it ships free. Like, I went to work and I came back and there was a piano in front of my house. I have a piano now. Are you helping? Are you helping? I have a helper too. We're gonna mute that. I'm gonna mute that right now because it's just people sending me memes. And that's cool. Like, I have the shirt for it. But the nice people over at Glary Music messaged me and they said, hey, do you want a free piano? we're doing a giveaway, we give you a free piano, you review it, you get to keep the piano. So here we are reviewing it. I'm gonna mute my computer too, because everybody who was watching this just checked their Discord to make sure that that message was not for them. So the nice folks at GLARRY hooked me up with the GLARRY GDP-107 piano, and they said I get to review it and keep it, and I really, really hope that they have watched some videos on my channel before they did this, because I am not a nice reviewer. For context, I made a video reviewing the Roland AX Lucina, which is maybe my #2 favorite Keytar of all time, and I spent about 20 minutes in that video just talking about stuff I don't like. So I'm gonna get out of the way by saying I like this piano, I love that I have a piano, I enjoy playing it, I feel like I'm growing as a musician just from the sheer convenience of having it right by my door when I walk in. I've always had a piano in my house, including a digital piano. We had like a Clavinova 1995 model, the first one with the LCD. So it's nice that even though I have my own place and all my pianos have been shipped over to Kentucky, I like that I have a piano here. But we need to frame this entire review with one critical piece of information, and that is that this piano, MSRP right now, is $400. It's on sale for $350. This is an insane price. I think that's why GLARRY sends out these, we send you the piano and you review it things, because people see that price and they go, what's the problem with that? What's the catch? Why is it that cheap? So let's go into it. For the record, I'm absolutely keeping the piano. It's gonna probably move with me when I move, and I'm gonna play it until it dies. And when it dies, I'll update everybody. Why would you get a digital piano instead of getting a keyboard? I collect keyboards, specifically Keytars. It's part of what's so funny that I have a piano now. And one of the questions is gonna be, what do you get out of a digital piano that you don't get out of something similarly priced like a Roland Lucina on top of an ironing board? I will maintain, just as a side note, that the best keyboard stand is an ironing board. You cannot find a stand that is lighter weight, cheaper, and sturdier all at once. Ironing board. Moving on. So why would you be getting a digital piano instead of getting a just a keyboard? And the main thing for that is going to be the feel of how it plays. Also, in general, it's a more attractive piece of furniture. When you're looking at a digital piano, you're looking for a piano which you're going to have a big thing that's probably going to stay out in your living room. So it is, it's laminate with a nice walnut cover. This is fiberboard. Before anybody goes into like, there's no quality furniture that's made out of laminate, $400. You're not getting real wood for $400. It's a piano, it has a closing lid. So you could, if you don't play piano very often, you could put stuff on here. You could use it as a shelf or a table or a desk. You just have to be aware that my grandma would not approve of that. This has fully weighted hammer action keys. And we're a synth channel, so we need to explain what that means just in case people don't know. Basically, weighted keys. If we take a look at a Keytar, key is a lever, the fulcrum is in the back, and there's a spring that pushes it back up. So that is your standard non-weighted key. So on a weighted key, the thing that makes the keys go up is that there is a weight here. So it is picking up a weight when you press down on the keys. That's how they return. And the reason that you would want that is that is how acoustic pianos work. And one of the reasons that people would get a digital piano instead of getting just a nice electric keyboard is going to be because they want it to feel like an acoustic piano. Hammer action is an additional kind of weight that can be put on a key. Acoustic pianos have hammers, and the hammer hitting the string is what makes the noise. To get a truly weighted feel, you want to have a hammer there that you're feeling the weight of fall back. This has the hammers underneath the individual keys. I kind of doubted that there was hammer action at this price point. Just like, I thought maybe someone had made a mistake with that listing, because there were a couple mistakes with that listing. So I pulled off the lid and I was sticking my fingers under there, and there are actual hammers. Hammers for $400 with cabinet and pedals. I will say that the hammers, the key bed itself, when I first played it, I thought, oh, I don't really like this. But then as I've been playing it, I can feel the keys I play the most have like a little break-in period. Editing Pink here, I just took this thing apart to get all those videos of the hammers, and what was going on with my feeling on the action is that this thing came like packed full of grease everywhere that they could do, which is good, but it meant that it took me a couple days of playing it to get that sort of more distributed into a natural pattern, and that's why it felt weird. It's now feeling good clear across the whole thing. I did have a day where my air conditioner was off and it reached 89 degrees in here, so maybe if your keys feel weird, try heating your apartment up to 89 degrees. That won't be unpleasant at all. So the more that I've been playing it, the more responsive the keys have been, and I've noticed that in the sound as well. I don't know, some of that has to be just that I haven't played piano in a really long time. I've been playing Keytar. You will see when I do a close-up on my hands and I have my wrists like this, on the list of things that my grandma would not approve of, that. But I will say if you buy this and you start playing it and you go, ooh, just give it some time. Give it some time. It also has pedals, which I'm gonna point to down there, and then I'll just have to do B-roll of the pedals. For some reason, my sustain pedal did not have a little foam bumper, and my sostenuto and my damper pedals did. I finally have a piano with real sostenuto on it too, because all the pianos I've had have been spinettes, and that's not the same. They give you like a half damper thing. If I decided I did need a foam pad, I could go to Dollar Tree, get a chair thing with a pair of scissors, and like 5 minutes I could fix that. Also, I discovered that you can put a dog squeaky toy in there, and then if you're not sure when you're doing the pedal that you're actually getting it right, you can give yourself audio feedback. So you can always remember, you can put a squeaky toy in your piano pedal. One of the advantages of having an inexpensive digital piano instead of a, $70,000 grand piano is that you can put a doggy squeaky toy in the pedal. So for sound, there are 800 tone patches in this, which would sound good except that you select them exclusively with these plus-minus buttons down here. And so that has some issues, because if I want to play sound patch 400, no matter which way around it I go, I'm going to have to press or hold down the button for 400 patches. It does have a button that says dual tone, which lets you rapidly switch between 2 different patches. So if you want to switch from patch 1 to patch 400, you only have to select patch 400 one time for every time you turn on the piano, because there is no memory of that. But so you can switch between 2 patches, and it also has split, so you can make half of the keyboard have one sound and half have another sound, and that gives you speed access to 3 different patches. You have the same problem with rhythms. There's a ton of rhythms on board, but if you have to click through 400 of them, it's really hard to do that. The advantage, though, is that when you look at a digital piano, when you're looking at those, you'll see that they usually only have like 15 or 16 different instrument patches, because people who are looking for a really good piano feel aren't really looking for the general MIDI patch where everything sounds like the telephone. There's just not that much of a demand for it. People want a selection of piano sounds, generally really good sounding piano sounds, at the expense of some of the other features. It has speakers built in. Oh, I'm in the wrong patch. They're not huge, they're not super bassy. They're really good speakers for monitoring. If you just want to know what you're playing, if you're just doing practice and you want it pretty easy, they are good speakers for doing monitoring, making it easy for you to practice. The patches on board do sound better when I plug them into a Keytar amp. Sorry, it's called a keyboard amp. Autopilot there. The sound patches do sound a lot better if I plug them into my keyboard amp versus playing them on the speakers that's in there. So I don't think that the sound patches are as bad as people would assume straight out of the box. It's got a flash drive slot so that you can put music on. That is not a USB host. You can't use it as a USB host. We'll get into that. It has your flash drive. That's nice for putting in your own accompaniment. It also has auto chord. I love auto chord. I just haven't had enough time to prep a demo for auto chord because Glary wanted me to get a video out 4 weeks from when I got the piano, and that's usually how long it takes me to review it. So I've only had this for like 5-6 days because I have to get ahead of the editing time. I have to edit this on time. They gave me a piano. I can't disappoint them. I say, making what is probably the most critical video of this piano on their entire site, while clarifying over and over, I love this piano. This piano is so good. And even if I had to pay for it, I would have been really thrilled with the cost of $400 for the quality that it is. You have to remember that when I'm getting critical of this, it's $400. So on list of things I don't like, audio out is weird. I have not been able to figure out how to plug headphones in and mute the piano. Editing Pink here, I am so excited to tell everybody that I did figure that out. So when you go into the Alt-Ly outputs back here, that's where all your outputs are. And you'd say like, okay, cool, that's where that is. But when I was taking this apart, I noticed that there was a cable running to this corner down here. In there, there are 2 outs, which are audio left and right. And when you plug that in, it mutes the speakers. I don't know why that's there. It's not in the manual. They don't explain it, but that is where the outs are if you want to plug in headphones or you want to plug it into an external thing and you want it to mute the onboard speakers, because the audio out in the back doesn't do that. Also, for some reason, when I plug this into the interface I use to record directly into my computer from a digital instrument, there's some noise, but I don't hear it when it's plugged into my amp. I think it's only on direct line in. That's a little bit frustrating on a digital piano because I know a lot of people would get a digital piano specifically to make it easier to record music. I also haven't had time to really troubleshoot why that might be making that sound. So maybe it's a me issue. I'll update the comments. I'll update the description of this video if I find when it was a skill issue on my part versus a piano issue. And I mean this with all love and all respect, Glary. The manual firmly straddles the line between incomprehensible and utterly useless. The majority of the manual is the patch list, which is good. I like that. I love having that on board. But, like at one point it says when you turn on the instrument, it's ready for strumming. Thankfully, the piano itself is relatively easy to use. It was also relatively easy to assemble, which is good because the assembly instructions that I got with it were 1 page long and for a different model. This is the big killer for me, is that the text on the website says what the outputs are, but there is a picture that sort of implies that it has 5-pin MIDI in and out. And when I received this piano and it did not have 5-pin MIDI in and out, I was disappointed and frustrated. If I had paid for this and was expecting 5-pin in and out, and I got this, I would have been furious. You can put 5-pin in there. Please put 5-pin in there, because it's so good as a MIDI controller. I love this thing as a MIDI controller. It's my favorite thing about it, actually. It just was very disappointing because I do so many vintage instruments that predate USB MIDI. These are my notes. This entire side is just about MIDI. I have to explain this every single time because people come from videos all over the place. MIDI is the language that digital instruments use to talk to each other. If you can plug MIDI out, or in some cases MIDI device, into MIDI in or MIDI host on another instrument, they will talk to each other. The extent to which they can effectively communicate is a little bit dependent on programming, but they both use the same language. And this means that anything that has MIDI out, you can make sound like anything. If the key bed feels good, and this key bed feels good, You can plug it into any sampled instrument. You can make it sound like a Steinway. You can use Matthias Krantz's piano plugin that's all hammers. You can make it sound like anything. So if the key bed feels good, and it's $400, and this actually transmits more sensitive data than the synth on board understands. Like on this one, I can play up to a certain velocity, and MIDI will just tell me the velocity in an objective number. I don't hear sound on this piano until I'm at MIDI velocity about 20, but it can transmit MIDI velocity 1. And that means that I can hook this up simultaneously playing its output and playing MIDI, and I can play really softly to get one instrument, and then when I play louder, it kicks in the piano automatically. That's so cool. And it's really fun because sometimes what it needs is something to like fill in or possibly pad out the sound. And we invented synth pads for that. So you can do this, get some strings or some choirs or whatever GarageBand calls stratosphere in the background, and you get a much fuller sound, but it's also an ethereal sound or a like weird science fiction-y sound. What are my hands doing? It's better. It's so good. You get a lot of options, and if you have not gotten into the world of MIDI instruments, then you should, like now. So I can connect my GarageBand iPad up here and play it through that, which also means that I can get on-screen adjustments. It's got the music stand, so you can just put your iPad there, and then it has audio in. So you can get an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch cable, plug that into your iPad, because you still have an iPad that has headphones, and plug that into the back, and then you are playing with the speakers your MIDI sound. The thing that I complain about on this the most is how difficult it is to select patches, program rhythms, get automatic chords going, and you can basically upgrade this to a much higher quality piano by slapping your iPad here and running one cable from it into the back of the piano. Accompaniment volume separate from the instrument volume, so you can control that while also playing other instruments. You get your on-screen, you upgrade it to a touchscreen. It's good, it's good. Trust me, it's good. Oh. Also, it knows to transmit drums on MIDI channel 10. It follows the general MIDI convention. You can take all of the demos and the onboard sounds, plug them through any general MIDI compliant tone box, and it will sound good. Like, it doesn't matter what the sounds in this sound like, because you can make them better by spending $25. If you have an iOS device, you have a MIDI instrument that you can control with this as a MIDI controller. Stop being afraid of MIDI. Just stop. It's so good. Just trust me. That's mostly it. I find it to be a very good weighted keyboard, weighted hammer action key bed. I like the bed on it. And because anything with MIDI out, I will treat as a MIDI controller. I get a lot more use out of this than I think somebody else would, but if you're getting a kid who wants to get into music and you want to buy them a piano, but you don't want to spend an $1,800 piano on a kid, or you just want to take your playing to another level, if you think, I'm playing synth, but I want to play piano someday, I want to play an acoustic piano, this is a really good step up. It also feels good, just if you want a different feeling. You know, they can't make weighted keys on a Keytar because it requires gravity. Weighted keys require gravity to be going this direction. And on Keytar, gravity is going this direction, and you're like this. So, yeah, weighted keys. If you want them, it's got to be a piano. But that's okay, because, like, sometimes you need a piano. Sometimes you need a piano. That's all I'm going to say. I got it right that time. Cool. So, yeah, that was my hopefully not too critical review of this piano that I received for free. I'm really glad that they told me that I can just review it honestly, and I really hope that they had seen how I review things and weren't just checking my review numbers, because I don't think I've ever reviewed anything where I haven't talked about the stuff I don't like. Thank you to GLARRY for hooking me up with the GDP-107. I'm really appreciative of it, and I will be keeping it and probably playing it every day, which will let me grow as a musician. What are my hands doing? They told me they wanted me to play it in the video, and I didn't know how to be like, no, the running joke is that I never play anything on the channel because people bitch about it all the time.